Next in radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. The date is June 7th, 2016. Big story of the day is Trump melting down. Is his self-destructive behavior and comments, is that going to finally end his campaign once and for all? Or will he rise and prosper as a result like he has in the past? Well, I don't know the answers, but with us is former Congressman John LeBoutillier. You know him well, Fox News contributor, his own show on Sundays. And John, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Kerry. Good afternoon. Good to talk to you. How are you?
All right. So we got a Trump problem, don't we?
Well, we do, or Trump has a problem with Trump. Because Trump normally says, well, I talked to the smartest person I know.
Yeah,
myself.
Which is him.
And that might be the problem, because he doesn't listen to any advice, and he's gotten himself, since May 3rd, when he effectively became the nominee of the Republican Party, he's had a month now to get things straightened out, and I would say that he's worse off today than he was a month ago, that he's doing these inexplicable diatribes against fellow Republicans that makes no sense.
Yeah.
And why he's doing it, I don't understand. I don't think anybody understands it, and how it's going to help him. Well, he's in the business now of leading the Republican Party and gathering more votes under the ones he's already got. Instead of doing either of that, he's attacking fellow Republicans, and he's subtracting voters by, for instance, going off on this judge in the Trump University civil lawsuit and bringing up the fact that the guy's of Mexican heritage.
Yeah. I mean,
and that has really, I think, really hurt him.
It's just really abnormal kind of behavior. It makes no sense because nobody really cares about Trump University. Yeah, the Democrats are trying to use it against him as a wedge issue, but if you survey people on the street there, nobody cares. I mean, this issue is a lot smaller than Hillary's emails or whatever the Clinton scandal du jour might be. It's so minor in comparison. Nobody cares about it.
Well, Kerry, not only that, I really think that what has gone a little awry here with Trump is that when he started running a year ago, and it was a year ago next week, it was June 16th, he should have taken his entire business empire and handed it off to his 3 adult children to run while he was campaigning.
Right.
And that's where his focus should be, on being a better candidate, learning more about the issues so he can talk knowledgeably, which as of today he cannot do. But he didn't do any of that. So he's still running his business. He's still all wrapped up in it. And the Trump U case has gotten under his skin.
Yeah.
And he's allowed it to bleed into the campaign. And it's not going to help him. It's going to hurt him politically. Plus, it takes away from time and energy spent on getting to be a better political candidate, which he can be better and should be better.
Yeah.
But the sad thing is he doesn't show any interest in getting better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I totally agree with you here. It doesn't make any sense. His behavior is really aberrant, and it's counterproductive to his ultimate goal, which is becoming president, right?
Well, that should be his ultimate goal. And along the way, when you're the nominee of a political party, you are the head of that party. And we have this odd case of Susana Martinez, the 2-term, obviously female and Hispanic governor of New Mexico, which is a blue or Democratic state. She's a Republican. She's won it 2 times in a row. And for some reason, 2 weeks ago in Albuquerque, Trump just lit into her at a rally, tore her apart, did it again a few days later. And she's also head of the Republican Governors Association. Now, what sense is it that the Republican presidential nominee rips into the head of the Republican Governors Association, who's a woman with which he has a big gender gap. She's a Hispanic, which he's got record negative numbers among. How does any of that help him?
I wish I knew.
It's an irrational act by the leader of a political party that I can promise you has sent shockwaves throughout the party among elected officials, that they're going, what is wrong with this guy? Why isn't he attacking Hillary like this?
Yeah. Well, that's what everybody said about the Republicans, too. They went after Trump worse than they ever went after Obama or Bill Clinton or anyone else. But I totally get your point here. And I think perhaps at this point it is salvageable. But if it persists, if it keeps going, then he could self-destruct. But, we've been here so many times already, John, where it looked so many times like his campaign was over that you got to wonder if all of a sudden his blunders are going to start cascading, magnifying, and destroy him.
Well, I think they're hurting him badly. And I think that even all the things that he survived in the Republican primaries, he survived that to win the nomination, but he accumulated an unfavorable rating that's the highest ever recorded by a candidate who's won a party nomination. He could win the election because Hillary's so bad.
Yeah.
If it were a regular Democrat that he was running against, I guarantee he'd lose by 10 points.
Yeah.
And he still might lose even to Hillary if he keeps this up. This is suicide, what he's doing to himself, and it's unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, it's time to forget about all the petty disputes, all the nonsense that we saw during the campaign. Hey, it did help him dominate the news cycle and totally own it. But, publicity, sometimes negative publicity is not the best thing. That old saying, just spell my name right. Everyone knows him already. It's time to get through this, because the ultimate prize is the thing that's the most important. But we're dealing with a lot of egotistical stuff, so it appears.
Yeah, and the thing, though, that kills me, Kerry, is that Trump doesn't seem to want to acknowledge that running for president is more than just him. It's a party running for president and running for, to keep the Senate and the House. Mm-hmm. And all these candidates, they all are counting on him leading the party to victory, and yet they don't talk to him. They don't hear from him.
Yeah.
There's no input to his campaign from other, Senate and House candidates, governors candidates. They're all very frustrated over the thing, and believe me, they're a lot more worried in private than they're letting on publicly. They're thinking this guy could take the party right over the cliff.
So that is a possibility. Will Trump listen to anyone?
Apparently not. I mean, there isn't anybody. The only people he trusts are his 3 adult children, none of whom know anything about politics or have ever been in it.
Right.
And they defend their father correctly, and they're apparently very nice young people, and I don't blame them for that. But I don't blame anybody. I just think that Trump needs to.
Yeah.
Kerry, he had a 2-month period from May 3rd when he basically won the thing. He had this 2 months, May and June, leading into the convention in July, to get everything straightened out and become a general election candidate.
Yeah.
He hasn't done it. He hasn't hired a campaign. He has no press operation, no field operation. He's quoted as saying, that stuff's all very overrated, which is absurd. It's not overrated at all.
That's what you need to get your message out, for sure. So I guess we're just going to have to see what transpires here, if he can really grow as a candidate or if he's just going to blow up, because it's a real possibility. What do you think about all the violence that's been occurring at his rallies? Is that all orchestrated by Hillary and the Democrats?
Somebody's orchestrating it. I don't know who. I mean, I would think it's the Democrats. I mean, I don't know how they think that's hurting him. I think it's helping Trump.
Yeah, it's certainly not making them look good. And when you see them burning American flags and holding up Mexican flags, and
in America, Kerry,
right.
What is the sense of Mexican flags in our country. I don't get it.
Yeah. Like, who wants it?
It just inflames the Trump base. I know that.
Yeah, and people who are on the fence as well. And finally, yeah, we agree on that. So what about Hillary's legal problems here? What's going to be? I mean, she is the presumptive nominee, but every day, John, it gets worse.
Yeah, no, that thing's not over. And she's not the nominee until she's the nominee either. So presumptive is the right word, because between now and then, let's just give it two possibilities. The worst possibility for her is that she's actually indicted by the Justice Department.
Mm-hmm.
That's the end of Hillary. If that happens, if it ever got to that, she cannot be running under federal indictment, especially when the indictment comes from her own party's and her own administration, because she was part of the Obama administration, that Justice Department. She could not run around and say, oh, yeah, it's the great vast right-wing conspiracy again.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think Barack Obama is part of that conspiracy.
Who's doing
so I don't think that's going to happen. But the other possibility, and this I think is a real possibility, is that the FBI recommends an indictment. And they leak that, it gets out, it leaks out somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't actually do the indictment. But the fact that it's leaked out, I think that would be a very serious deal for her. Because while everyone will deny it and say it's not true, it will really look badly. And I think it'll make Obama look badly. I think Obama's going to have to assess then, I'm going to get charged in the court of public opinion with covering up for Hillary. And do I want that?
Yeah. That I agree with you, and I think there's a real good chance that all of this is really going to happen here, because. But
the FBI one, I think, is going to happen.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
You know, the other thing, whether the Justice Department actually ever indicts her, I find it hard to believe. You know, Obama is going to endorse her maybe even tomorrow, whenever someday this week it's being talked about.
Yeah.
How could he endorse her and allow her to be indicted because he's going to have to okay an indictment?
Yeah. So I always thought the way this was going to shake out was that her aides, 3 or 4 of them, Huma Abedin and Sullivan and the rest, were going to wind up getting hit, and that would hit with indictments, and that would take her out. I think that's another possibility that could come about. But at this point, I just don't know, because how can you know? Because it's all the internal workings of the government here, right? I mean, you just don't know.
Totally.
You don't know, but it ain't over till she's gotten her get out of jail free card, right?
Yep. So. But I think that Hillary, the Clintons seem to always get away with their malfeasance.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So I'm hesitant to believe that anything good's ever going to happen for our side. No, she'll get away with it.
Well, I think the FBI's people are talking. Well, what about this new book by the former Secret Service agent,
guy?
Brian? That one looks pretty devastating as well. It's a harder one to brush under the table when you look at the pictures of him with Bill and Hillary, and all of his career is pretty impeccable. He testified before the Starr Commission there. He's a harder one to destroy than all of the other books, but none of the other books have done anything anyway.
Well, I think Clinton Cash did, and I think Clinton Cash is coming back now as a documentary. It was at the Cannes Film Festival, and I don't know when it's being released here. If I were Donald Trump, Kerry, I would buy Clinton Cash, the documentary, and I would break it up into 1-minute vignettes, and I would email those things, the links to them, for free.
Absolutely.
To everybody in the country could see bit by bit, to see the corruption of the Clintons, the Clinton Foundation, the favors in the State Department, the speaking fees, which are basically bribes.
Yes.
Called speaking fees, and just do that. And that could win the election for him.
I think you're right. I think you are correct. Yeah. And he hasn't shied away from bringing up the dubious goings on of the Clintons and their machinations, if you will. So
Right.
we're going to see a lot more of that, I have a feeling. Anyway, John, we want to go to your blog. We want to watch you on Fox News on Sundays. Give us the deal.
The blog is johnlebout.com, JOHNLEBOUT, johnlebout.com. And the show is Political Insiders, East Coast time, live every Sunday night, 7:30 on the Fox News channel.
Yeah, a lot of fun, and you definitely want to see it. Check out John's blog. John, we'll talk to you again in a couple of weeks. Be well.
All right. Thank you very much, Kerry. Bye-bye.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.